Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Have to control yourself!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking environmental fairy tales. We're talking names that begin with G. And we're talking, do you have any idea how much work goes into making a pavlova woman? And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking maggots.
Oh, I knew you were going to have a problem.
Boy, that was, honestly, the tongue on the maggots was really something. But,
Yeah.
Everyone, we are discussing Lee Haven Jones's 2021 eco-horror film, The Feast. A film that probably has a lower profile. Like, I don't really know how many people have heard of this, unless you saw it on the festival circuit like we did.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet this is going to be our lowest download episode of this quarter because I don't think most people even know this movie exists.
Probably so. And we're a little late getting this out because we are tying this into Earth Day, which was last week. But, better late than never.
Indeed. And to celebrate Mother Nature, I'm just going to give a quick content warning that we definitely get to see some animals get skinned.
Oh, yeah. All in the service of, humans eating them, but yes.
But if you're feeling generous, this movie definitely gets its revenge on all these motherfuckers.
Well, and so that's the thing. Yeah, everyone. I would absolutely call this a slow burn.
Sure.
This is a build-up to the last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because I remember when this came out, there was a lot of debate over whether the ending was worth all the build-up. And
yes.
I lean yes.
I lean yes as well.
I'm not like an exuberant, yeah, absolutely, fuck yeah. But I'm like, nah, I think so. Like, it's fun to watch these people get their comeuppance.
Absolutely, yeah. I went back and reread both of our respective reviews because you reviewed this for Bloody out of South by. I reviewed this for my own website. And yeah, we both make a mention about how we wish that the climax or the violence started just a little bit earlier because it does feel like it's so much build up, and then, it's just kind of over. But we are also in agreement that what we do get to see is really fucking good. So part of it is like, I wish it started a bit earlier, but I can't be too mad about it.
Well, and this is something that is probably we're going to sound like a broken record to a lot of our listeners, but watching this on its own, by itself, standalone this week, I liked it a little bit more than I was watching it amidst a festival and a sea of other films. Because it's always it's hard with slow burns when you're doing all these festivals and you're like, film. Oh, this is slow. So.
If it's the fourth or fifth movie in a day, or you're trying to watch a movie and then write and then watch a movie and then write, sometimes it's hard to give a single film all of your attention. So it's one of the reasons why I often encourage folks, if it doesn't quite gel with you, do try to give a movie a second chance down the road, because you often find, there's things about this that work differently or maybe even better for me.
I'm going to remember that because I have so many movies for you that I'm like, Joe, I need you to watch it again.
This is true. It's not because my disinterest prevents me from rewatching. It's just a time issue. I'm like, I barely have time to watch the things I have to.
No, for sure. It's the hazards of having multiple podcasts and writing gigs. But I guess we should point out too, we are also covering this because director Lee Haven Jones is a queer man.
Indeed, yes. And we have previously covered one of his shorts back when we were doing more regular microqueers episodes.
Yes, and that was the 2015 short Want It, which, I mean, that was years ago. So unfortunately, I don't remember much about it, but I remember that I think I liked it.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, it's about a home invasion that gets thwarted when things get sexy, but it has a very distinctive visual look that is akin to what we see here. So it's kind of sterile, but like beautifully composed. And I think I mentioned house porn when we talked about the short, but I'm definitely going to be talking about it here.
Oh my God, this house is so gorgeous. I'm just a sucker for like a countryside house in the middle of just fields.
It's true. The funny thing is that I wrote this and I was like, this house is gorgeous. I would love to live here. But like the basic thesis of the film is that this house is a corruptive monstrosity get it the fuck out of this landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, y'all, this is a message movie. Like there's no getting around that. And it's very much about climate change, how we treat Mother Earth. I don't believe the goddess in this movie, which, sorry, everyone's spoiling that, is a real, like the goddess of the rise isn't really a thing, but I think it's just general like Mother Earth-y, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. And I will be honest, I don't know if we have a ton of listeners from Wales, but if we miss any cultural specificity, I tried to do a quick look to see if there was something that was, you know, unique about the film in terms of its narrative approach or its themes or something like that. And I didn't really come up against anything. So I would love to know if we, as dum-dum North Americans, are missing anything.
Okay, I'm gonna show my ass here and say that I'm an extreme dum-dum, because I remember when I saw this movie at the festival, I think it was South by Southwest, and I was like, oh, a British horror film, that's great, like I'll go see that.
Right.
I had no idea Wales had its own language.
Yeah. It's honestly, I think you'd be forgiven because most people don't ever hear Welsh spoken. I think there's a bunch of people who are like, oh, Wales? Yeah, they're just a part of the UK and they don't have their own distinct culture or language. And it's like, oh no, Wales is very protective of that. But a lot of people would seek to mask or almost like make them conform.
Oh, and literally for me, I was like, Diana, Princess of Wales. There you go.
Okay, well now you're showing your dum-dum.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so obviously after I saw this, I was like, oh, wow, I need to educate myself a little bit. But okay, well, why don't we jump into this? Because, I mean, honestly, this seemed like a real passion project for Jones. Oh,
nice.
He had worked with screenwriter Roger Williams quite a bit on a number of television projects, and they were both passionate about horror. They were also passionate about creating a piece of horror cinema in the Welsh language, like specifically.
Okay.
And their ambition was to have it travel the world, to also be like, hey, everyone, look, it is its own language.
It's a celebration of the Welsh language. Okay, I love that.
But Haven notes that, I'm sorry, I should point out, this is all coming from an interview with Jones with BFI.
Okay.
But Haven notes that much to his annoyance, Wales doesn't have a thriving film industry, and they are very good at making long-form television dramas, but every time they make one that's half decent, they then have to remake it in English because the market dictates that there is no appetite for Welsh language content.
Oh, wow. That'd be so frustrating.
So, and I got some numbers here. So there's about 600,000 people in Wales and roughly another 300 or 400,000 people, give or take, in the world speak Welsh. So that's 1 million people in the world, give or take, that speak this language.
That is tough. But also, you know, you and I have had a number of discussions about people's reticence to engage with foreign horror or non-English language horror, to the point that we literally renamed the category in the Hereditary so that it is non-English language as opposed to best foreign.
Yeah.
But I will confess, I get really frustrated when people say, you know, oh, well, I don't speak that language, so I don't want to watch that movie. Like, I don't find the subtitles in this movie difficult, and I find the Welsh language is beautiful. It's I can never say the word right. Melodic. Like a melody. Melodic, yeah, like a melody. But it sounds beautiful. And, you know, I mentioned off the top that I consider this film a bit of an environmental fairy tale. And I feel like the Welsh language adds to that significantly.
Oh, absolutely. It almost transports you into, you said fairy tale, right?
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like that, even though this is set in modern times.
Yes, it is. But there is like such a fun kind of, well, it's not even subtle. There's definitely a supernatural element to this. And the way that people don't even appear to know that they're being influenced by this woman.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which I think on a first viewing for me too, that was frustrating because it removed a lot of agency from the characters, which in a revenge tale, when I'm like, okay, you're in a trance killing someone, but I was like, no, you know me, Joe. I want you to know why you're doing this.
Right. I feel like we kind of get there by the end.
We do. For the most part. I mean, I would argue that the boys
they're so fucking stupid.
They're very stupid. But anyway, so with this Welsh language barrier, Haven tried to think of ways around that. And so rather than look at examples of British horror films, he was thinking more about trying to create something that was very different. So he looked at Korean, Japanese, and Scandinavian horrors for inspiration, trying to craft something that was a bit of an international hodgepodge of styles, but definitely not specifically English in tone or feel.
Okay, and you know what? I would definitely say that he achieved that, because as you were listing them, I was like, oh, I'm getting those vibes. I can see where he might be drawing inspiration from.
Yeah, the Scandinavian is kind of what like dinged the bell for me. But,
like Goodnight Mommy vibes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it was very much a consideration that the film should be aesthetically very different than what what a go-to British horror film would be. You know, this isn't The Wicker Man.
Well, that's also a bit of a dated reference, sir.
Well, yeah, I know, but still. But I'm thinking like folk horror, though.
I take your point. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he and his screenwriter Williams then decided to delve into the long history of Welsh literature, which apparently is, like most fairy tales, inherently horrific in many ways. And
love it.
They would use that as a springboard to tell a story about contemporary Wales, weaving in the global theme of climate crisis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, their process sounds a little bit interesting, though, because they would... I always find this fascinating, because I'm sure at one point you or I have ever thought about, like, writing a screenplay, you know? And
I'm sure.
I'm always kind of like, how do you even start? And so I'm fascinated by hearing about other people's processes. And so for this one, basically, Haven and his screenwriter would come together, talk about broad concepts, and then Williams would go away, commit pen to paper. And throughout these meetings, Haven would throw, I love this, different kinds of stimuli at Williams. And... this could be a Spotify playlist. It could be a series of photographs. It could be the standard, watch a couple of these films or images from dreams that Haven had.
Wow. Okay.
Basically, the script was always a route rather than a fixed blueprint. So it was constantly moving, evolving, this organic thing that was dependent on whatever stimuli Haven was introducing to the meeting.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I mean, that sounds inherently very collaborative, but I love that they basically said, we have an idea of what we want to do, but we're willing to be flexible and adaptable based on what's sort of most interesting to us and what takes us in the moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you remember this, Joe, but whenever we talked about nocturnal animals, there was a really funny bit when, Laura Linney has a cameo essentially in that movie, but the way the director found her was Googling like great American actresses.
Right, yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So I think it's fair to say that The Feast is not a plot-driven film with visuals taking a front and center approach. But
yes,
this was always Haven's plan, and he knew that the filming location was going to be key to unlocking this film visually. And so to find this house, he literally put in a search engine, contemporary designed houses in Wales, and this one popped up.
Hi, I'd like to rent your house to shoot my movie. It's going to be a absolutely scathing critique of everything that you're doing, but we do love the look of your house.
Absolutely. Well, and the irony is this house was called Life House.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, they saw it on a Wednesday morning, and by Wednesday afternoon, they were sitting in a cafe rewriting bits of the script to match the house's layout.
Okay. Wow.
So truthfully, that's really all I have for production outside of this release. So it has its world premiere in the US at South by Southwest in March of 2021 before pretty much doing the festival circuit for the rest of the year. It got a general release in the US in November of that year. And then, this is bizarre, it gets a release in the UK in June of 2022. So like...
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
it's
it comes
so
out
late.
It comes out here before it even gets to the UK, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah, I wonder if they wanted to just kind of build up word of mouth or something, or maybe it was just like a jam-packed schedule of the year that they made it. I don't know.
Or maybe it was meant more for Americans than Brits.
Entirely possible. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was well received. On Rotten Tomatoes, we're looking at 81% with an average ranking of 6.9 out of 10. Letterboxd users have given this a 3 out of 5 or a 6 out of 10. And I think my review was a 3.5 out of 5. I think that's what I wound up giving it.
Yeah, that's what I gave it as well.
Yeah, and I still sit there, but I'm more confident in that rating than I was 4 years ago, if that makes any sense.
It is, yeah. It's funny, right? Like, the number doesn't necessarily change, but I do respect the film more. I think on a first watch, you're waiting for the payoff, right? Like we said, it really takes a long time to get to that violence. And when you watch it a second time, you realize, oh, the violence is great, but it's also not exactly the point. Like, I love watching her fuck with the family. Yeah,
I think that's the thing, is like, once you know that Caddy is this goddess, like, inhabiting her body, it almost becomes an unintentional comedy where you're kind of like, I know what's about to happen to all of you, so all these interactions are almost more entertaining when you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, whereas the first time I was like, what's going on with her? She just doesn't seem to be entirely there, and there's a bunch of mysterious stuff happening, but it doesn't quite make sense. And then, I think you probably figure it out about the halfway point of the film, and that's maybe why it feels like the back half takes a little too long to get to the climactic good stuff, because you're like, no, I know where it's going to go, and I don't understand why they haven't figured it out yet. But this second time I was just like, keep fucking with them, because they're not on to you at all.
Yeah, I didn't feel like my patience was being tested on a second viewing, where I did feel that occasionally on a first viewing.
And I gotta say, the movie, like, it is slow paced, as you said, but it's also not a long movie. So it's not like, oh, I'm waiting for 2 hours for something to happen. It's like, no, you hit about like the 75-minute mark and it's bam.
Yeah. I mean, the credits roll at 89 minutes, so it's pretty chill.
Yeah.
But, okay, Joe, well, why don't we talk about what happens in this movie?
Okay, watch me try to encapsulate a movie that is driven by visuals. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, so we open on close-ups of an oil drill, and eventually we see a worker who is played by Chris Gordon, who wanders off and collapses.
Yes, and if you thought this might be important for later, you would be correct.
Indeed, yeah. I do like that the movie trusts you to sort of remember it. Like, we'll see this moment again in some very quick montages as the film proceeds, but it's not like, and this man was her father.
Yeah. But actually, Joe, what I'm curious to know is, what do you think about our chapter titles?
They get a little convoluted as we go.
They get longer and longer.
They do indeed, yeah. So this movie is divided into 6 different chapters. So this first one is called I Want to Make a Good Impression. And they're a little on the nose. Like, sometimes characters will literally say the line. Sometimes they're a little bit esoteric. It almost sounds like a lullaby or a fairy tale. And then sometimes, like this one, it's, oh, okay, we've got some new cater waiter showing up at this rich person's house. And you think, okay, it makes sense that she would want to make a good impression.
Yeah, but I guess I didn't always feel like the chapter title was encompassing the theme of the chapter.
Yeah, and they're a bit arbitrary. Like, I think they are differing lengths, so it's not like a consistent kind of thing. Like, sometimes there's a break and you think, is that a break or is that going to be a new chapter title? And it's a mystery how it all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, even the final chapter, I think, is maybe 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it's super short.
But anyway,
we're about to start getting into a more, I'm going to say, complicated names, so I'm going to apologize in advance to any people from Wales in case I absolutely brutally massacre any of these names.
Luckily, Glinda and Caddy, which literally every time I was like, Caddy Heron, Caddy Heron, Caddy Heron.
Yes, it's an easier reference for us to make for sure.
Absolutely.
So we are introduced to almost all of our characters in a mostly dialogue-free sequence. So we actually just get to observe them and then draw our own conclusions. And the film will eventually unpack, how they all kind of fit together and what their individual motivations are. But I like that the film just says, no, we're not going to do a bunch of dialogue that says like, okay, everybody, we're having a big dinner party tonight. It's like, watch these people get ready for the day.
Well, and right off the bat, though, so one thing I think this film is really good at is just instilling a very unsettling atmosphere. And so
yes,
before we even like see a person in the house, we're basically, it's almost like the Halloween approach with Michael Myers, where we're just like the POV of the camera and we're seeing empty rooms, but we're doing very slow zoom ins or zoom outs depending on the room we're in, and it with this creepy ass score. So it's like right off the bat, you're unsettled, like knowing something is not right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that the house and the surrounding landscape, like there's a kind of meadow and then there's a woods that we'll go into, but these are just as important, if not maybe more important than these actual human characters.
Oh, absolutely. And by the end of the film, we'll have no human characters. So
well, that is true. Yeah, because you sort of realize, oh, the film is less interested in these people because we're really more about what they're doing to the real protagonist, which is Mother Earth.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of these people. You mentioned Glenda. That is Nia Roberts. And we are introduced to her in her relaxation or meditation room. So she's there with her face mask and it's very spa-like.
Okay. I made a note of this, though. Did you clock the Foley work on her mask when she rips it off her face?
Peeling it off, I was like, that better be exfoliating, because if not, it sounds like you just took off about 2 or 3 layers of skin.
Yes, and I think like a face mask is something that a lot of people can like, really, a lot of people use face masks, but it is, it has like a horrifying bent to it in this scene, even though nothing bad is actually happening.
No, like this is just a beauty regimen, and we should note that Nia Roberts is stunningly gorgeous in this movie. She's rich bitch extraordinaire, but yeah, seeing her do this, you're just like, oh, gross.
Well, and I really like this too because, and we talked about the White Lotus earlier this month on Patreon, but like, she doesn't come from money. She got money later. So I love this thing. It's kind of this theme going on where it's like, okay, yeah, if you're a person that doesn't have a lot of money, but you come into money, it's going to change you and make you a terrible person.
It'll corrupt you. Yeah, she definitely had to, one might even say, sell her soul for this.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so I think this is the younger son, but Gwired, who is played by Cyan Alun Davies, he is training for a triathlon, and so we see him getting ready to go and work on the stationary bike, but he's having a little too much fun getting into his spandex trace.
Okay, I was like, he's like groping himself, but it's more like, like caressing his bulge, and I thought he was gay.
Okay, so I also thought that he was gay, especially because we see that he's doing this in a very performative manner because there is another man looking at him. And it's not until a couple of scenes later that we realize that Guto, who is played by Stefan Seninid, is actually his brother.
Yes, exactly. Which then I came to the realization, oh, he's not gay, he's a narcissist, which sometimes I conflate the two.
Well, you could be understandably forgiven for that because there are many, many gays who are narcissists. But I think it's just partially like this guy is so clearly getting off on the voyeurism. And to me, like knowing that Haven Jones is a queer director, I thought, okay, it's going to make sense for him to have this son who's like a little bit kinky, a little bit perverted. And because this is the introduction, he's performing for another man. So I just thought, oh, queer. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then contrast that with Guto's introduction, who just walks up huffing, I'm assuming paint in this brown bag.
Oh my God. This guy, I initially wrote in my notes, he's a recovering drug addict. And then I was like, I don't think he's in recovery. No. And I don't think he cares to be.
I will say, though, out of all the characters in this film, he's the one I feel the most empathy for.
I do and I don't. It's one of the things I like about the ups and downs of the characters is that sometimes they seem like the most awful people ever and you want horrible things to happen to them. And then other times you feel deeply empathetic and you understand their situation. So I like that they're all complex. Yeah. But I agree with you that I think he comes the closest to being a nicer person.
Yeah, I think it's also, I mean, like, we don't get a ton of backstory about this family outside of, that they didn't come from money. But I think you can see Guto as a product of his parents' neglect. And whereas with Guerin, I'm like, you're just an asshole.
Yes, and we will learn that he has a much more disturbing backstory. Whereas with Guto, you're just kind of like, oh, it seems like he's in a way almost trying to rebel against the rich aristocracy of his parents. So it's gotten him into trouble. But like, yeah, he's just giving rocker vibes.
Yeah, honestly, he gives me like a state of Arrested Development almost in a way that Guerin does not.
No. Guerin, I feel like he knows how to play the system in part. Again, I'm assuming that he's the younger brother. He looks a little younger, but it feels like he has learned how to manipulate the situation by watching Guto fail.
Yes, and that's interesting because I thought that Guto was giving off more younger brother vibes.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you know what? Tiebreaker, listeners, let us know. Which brother do you think is younger and which one is older?
Watch them be twins.
Could happen, yes. Okay, so that's 3 of the family members. Let's talk about the patriarch, and that would be Gwyn, who is played by Julian Lewis-Jones, and he is day drinking while hunting.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. But, like, he's right outside the house in the field. Like, we'll discover he's looking to shoot game, so he will bring home a couple of rabbits because he's gonna cook them up for dinner. Well, he's gonna give them to Glenda, and she's gonna cook them up for dinner.
Right.
But I'm like, you're not far away from your family, and you've just got this gun, and you're drinking. Like, firearm safety is not an issue.
No. I mean, again, they're the only people around for miles, so it's like, what are they thinking?
Right, except that we will meet neighbors later on, so they're not that far away.
True, but I still think that farm is still like a mile away from where they are.
That is true. Yeah, they've got a nice big chunk of land, and it is gorgeous and untouched, and the only things that are polluting it seem to be them and this oil.
This oil drill. Yep.
Yeah.
But, okay, so let's meet Caddy, shall we?
I was going to say, in some ways, Caddy, I think in my review, I even called her our protagonist, right? Because she is the person who comes into this world as a bit of a novice, and we get to learn who all of these people are through her. But she is such a mystery for the entirety of the film until we get our reveal. But I love how we can almost project things onto her because she's a bit of an empty vessel.
Well, and the fact that, honestly, she doesn't have much dialogue. Like, I think the most she speaks is when she's singing that lullaby.
Yeah. Like, her verbal interactions with everybody are very scant. It's like a couple of words at most.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Caddy is played by Anne Elwee. And so she is the cater waiter who is new to working for this family because we will discover that the usual help, Linwin, has taken ill. So Caddy is here to fill in, but it means she doesn't know the lay of the land. She doesn't know who or what these family members are. So she sometimes finds herself in a bit of a pickle.
That actually, I mean, again, spoiler, whatever. But like, we'll learn. I mean, this is not Caddy. Like, this is never Caddy. So I think, again, rewatching it when you know that this is always the goddess inhabiting her body and Caddy is long dead.
Yeah.
I think, it adds an extra layer to the viewing experience.
It absolutely does, because all of these scenes where we just watch Caddy observing people, taking them in, studying them, you think maybe she's a bit, I don't want to say slow, but she just doesn't seem to be interested in what's going on. Like, I mean, you and I have both worked in service industries, as we recently elaborated on, and it's go, go, go. Like, the amount of times that she is just sitting there or standing there watching people. She gets called on it once, but for the rest of the time, it's just very casual. And I was like, oh, you would get fired if you were working in a more high stakes kind of environment.
Yeah, it's go, go, not cry, cry.
Well, sometimes it's cry, cry, and then continue to go, go.
Well, but I love that. Hey, so like, basically, like, Caddy shows up. She's wet. We'll find out why later. But, like, basically, things keep happening around the house, but nothing that's, like, poltergeisty. It's like, oh, someone does something to kind of upset Caddy, although you don't always really know because she's not really emoting a lot. But then it's like, oh, there's a mud streak on the tablecloth, and that is just a result of that, which I think is interesting. It's not something that's, like, a chair floating around the room. It's just a stain.
And the movie always makes sure that we, as the audience, know, but it doesn't linger on it. It doesn't give us an ominous sound cue or something. It's just like, hey, did you notice that suddenly there's dirt marks on this tablecloth or on the wall or something like that. So in this case, we have Guto getting distracted when she walks up. Yes, wet, because here's a very attractive young woman. Oh, she must be here to help do the dinner thing. But also, she's a mystery. Who is this girl? And he is chopping wood, and the head of the axe falls off and cuts his foot. So it's like she shows up, and immediate danger and violence on the family.
And that's one of my favorite like through lines to the film is the increasing rotting of this foot wound.
Oh, it's great. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so Caddy shows up, and that means that Glenda can now immediately put her to work. So we give her the lay of the land. Glenda is basically saying like, okay, it's an important dinner party. We need to do this. We need to do that, blah, blah, blah. But she's also doing the super white lady privilege where she's like, it's just so hard to put on a dinner and my husband doesn't understand. And I remember the first time I watched this movie, I expected 15 people to show up at this. There's fucking 3 people coming to this dinner trays.
Yeah. I mean, on top of the family, but yes, you're 100% correct. Like, it's very sparse.
Yeah. So we know that they have money because they can afford the extra help. But yeah, it does seem like this party is important for reasons we won't discover until much later. Okay, so we get this tour around this giant isolated house, and it's gorgeous. And then Caddy is kind of left alone. Okay, set the table. So that's her first task. And she lays out this linen, this very white, pristine linen cloth, and then gunshots. So we know that Gwyn has caught something, but they startle her. She gets upset. And when she stands up and Glenda comes back in the room, as you said, suddenly dirt marks all over this tablecloth.
All over this tablecloth.
Do you remember when you kind of pieced it together? Because I remember just being gently mystified. Like, I was very open to the movie's mystery. So I was like, oh, I don't really know what's going on. But all this, like, dirt stuff is perplexing to me.
Well, because it was something that I was like, I've never seen something like this before. Like,
No.
It's very understated. And it's like, it wasn't big enough to where it's like, okay, well, should I take note of this?
Right.
Or like, what's going on here?
It's a weird little curiosity.
I was really surprised, but also a little bit impressed that Glenda does not accuse Caddy of doing it.
Right. Yes. She's just kind of like, oh, God, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I think it's because she's so preoccupied, reputationally speaking, this needs to go off without a hitch. So she's not looking to blame people for most of this dinner. She's just like, I don't care. Fix it. It just needs to be done.
Hey, and she even offers her a bonus later, and we'll discuss why. But she's a nice lady, a nice rich lady.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Okay, so then we get this moment where Caddy briefly considers an abstract, or what we think is an abstract painting, behind the kitchen table, and it's pretty beautiful, and we will come back to that later.
Yeah.
But as she's looking at it, she's startled because Gwynedd makes a protein shake, and this is like a very nice, simple jump scare.
Oh, yeah. But again, a movie that doesn't really offer a lot in the way of like traditional scares.
Yeah, it's more creeping dread and menace. And then every once in a while, they'll hit you with a sound cue.
Yes,
Okay, so Gwynedd is not interested in attending this dinner. He wants to get out of it. He has a special diet, so he tries to beg off, and Glenda is having none of it. It's like all hands on deck. The whole family is expected to be here, so no.
Yeah.
Okay, so Caddy wanders outside. She observes Guto playing guitar. So he has like dragged his amp outside and is just jamming. You're like, okay,
Sure.
This dude is either very chill or he's actively trying to give no fuck vibes to his parents.
A little bit of column A, a little column B.
Probably, yeah. So then Caddy continues to explore the house. So again, we're like, it's very careful and deliberate that we understand the layout of the house, but also we should note, and you did a really good job of elucidating this in your review, that when we're inside the house, it's very dark and it feels very claustrophobic. Like the shots just feel tight.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're outside, everything feels very open, very natural, so loose and free and flowing. So it's very much like when you're in the house, you don't really want to be in the house. And then there's a couple of moments where the inside and the outside really nicely match. So like there are some big windows that offer these views. And at one point, Guto even climbs in through the window so that he can come inside the house.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Caddy's pulling a miscongeniality with all these mismatched wine glasses.
Yeah. Which Mom is like, what is up with this? And also, who told you to put flowers on the table? But I guess it's fine. Like, whatever. We just need to start making the food.
Also, though, mismatched glasses are like very common, especially in like rustic dinners.
Sure, but I don't think that's the vibe that Glenda is going for.
No, because I think when you think rustic, that's low class.
Yes. And also this house is giving modern chic. So I would expect, Cristal, everything's matching. Everything looks expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We did jump over the moment that when Caddy is wandering around, she does see Guerdon shaving his balls. And we get a close-up of the blood dripping into the bathtub.
Oh, yeah. Which honestly stung me a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who among us has not nicked a testicle?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as when you maybe catch a foreskin in the zipper, but that's a whole different podcast story.
Oh my God. The only time I'm happy I don't have foreskin.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Lucky you. Okay. I will say, again, Guerdon shaving his balls, not helping me to believe that he was actually straight.
Right? But he's just he's a metrosexual.
Metrosexual, and I think also, my husband is currently training for a marathon, and the people who get hardcore into like running, biking, swimming, and that kind of stuff, every little millisecond counts. So if you can get rid of a hair follicle that might be slowing you down, you will do it.
That is bizarre.
I know.
It is a culture I cannot relate to in any shape. Not
it's
to like
dedication.
Not to shit on it. I cannot relate.
No, you don't shit on it. You bleed on it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so yes, we're preparing the food. This is where we get a bit of backstory about the house. And yes, the fact that at least Glenda didn't really come from money. So we're talking about this house wasn't the original house. So it used to be farmlands and a farmhouse. And it took them 2 years, a lot of construction work to get this. And then we realized, we've got all these old possessions, like old furniture, collectibles, and they don't fit the vibe of the house anymore, Trace. They're too primitive.
Well, yeah, they're
I just think the word choice is excessively important. Like when you realize what we're dealing with, like what is more primitive, what is more down to earth, what is more ancient and aged than something like Mother Earth. So everything about the family is we're leaving the past behind because we want to be in the moment, new, rich, and like, well, you're doing this all on the back of Mother Earth, which is ancient and primal, and yes, maybe a little primitive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Caddy tries a piece of fruit. It's like she's never put anything in her mouth, which if you don't know what's going on, you're like, what is this girl's story? You've never had a piece of fruit before?
Did she have some of Guto's drugs? Like, what's going on?
Uh-huh. Yeah, she's still such a mystery. I think at this point, you're right. She said nothing? Because in my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, it's 20 minutes in before she actually says anything to anyone.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we do get confirmation that Gwyn, this would be the patriarch of the family, is a member of parliament. So that's part of the reason why we do have so much money.
I clocked this too. Maybe this is a subtitle translation thing, but she says, my husband is your member of parliament when she's speaking to Caddy. And I was like, that's an interesting way of phrasing that.
Yeah, it definitely suggests a kind of hierarchical power, right? Like I have heard people refer to themselves this way, but they're trying to say, I'm a man of the people. Like, I work for you. You're my constituent. This is my writing, but I work for you. But here it definitely is like, my husband is a powerful man, and he owns this land, essentially. Like, there's no doubt that what we're actually telling is a kind of colonizer story here.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay, so this explains some of the richness, some of the newness of the house, and then Glenda gets some pomegranate in the eye.
Oh my God. This is stressing me out because she's like beating the fuck out of this pomegranate. And I was like, that's not how I DC'd a pomegranate.
She is smacking the shit out of it with the blunt side of the knife, and okay.
I have always been learned, according to YouTube, that you cut a pomegranate into wedges, but like you do like very shallow slices so you can pull apart the wedges, and then you put those wedges in a big bowl or pot of water, and that's how you peel them because all the pith rises to the top and all the seeds go to the bottom.
Oh, okay. I have never heard of that, but that sounds really genius.
I love my husband's always like, I don't know how you spend the time on that, but I'll lay paper towels over my coffee table, and I'll just get a pot of water, and because it stains everything. And
oh God, yeah.
I'll just put on a TV show, and I'll just like be on my couch in the coffee table, just like de-seeding a pomegranate in this pot of water as I'm watching TV.
You know what? It's your own type of meditation room.
Honestly, yeah, I find it very soothing, actually.
Love that for you. Okay. Unfortunately, that's not really what we're doing. What we're doing is having Gwyn come in with a gun and a couple of dead rabbits, and this makes Caddy very upset. So she actually flees the kitchen, and she takes refuge outside in the grass.
Yeah, she just lays down in this dirty ass grass.
Yeah, and we should note that she does kind of stumble onto Gwyrd as Guto observes. So she ends up having her first lines in the movie. This is around the 20-minute mark, and he reassures her that his father is only really interested in killing political opponents, so nobody else. You don't have to worry. He's not going to shoot you.
But little do we know, she has to be very worried about Gwyrd.
She does, but, by the end of the film, they should all be worried about her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so inside we see Glenda making quite quick work of, yes, we're skinning these rabbits and we are watching it happen on screen. So I would say if you're an animal activist, it's going to be upsetting. But if you've ever seen food being prepared, this is just commonplace.
Yeah, for me, it helps that they're already dead.
Right.
Like, God, there was a movie that did Sundance last year. It was like a zombie movie with that girl from The Worst Person in the World. But there's a scene where a zombie is like someone gives him a pet rabbit because he hasn't fully turned yet. And
he eats it and it's live?
No, he doesn't eat it. He just crushes it in his hands, but you have to hear the shrieks of the rat. It's like all in real. I know. And there was a warning before the film that was like, this film depicts animal cruelty. And I was like, it's probably fine.
And then you're like, oh no, I'm not okay.
It was, I mean, I don't think it was real, but it felt very real. And that, oof.
Yeah. Because the reality is that a good filmmaker, if that's what they're going for, they will give you the Foley work, or you almost never see, this animal got its head crushed or something, but we'll start to see it and then they'll finish with the Foley work. And sometimes that's almost worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was not pleasant. So yeah, this was bearable to me.
Yeah, but needless to say, because Caddy has gotten upset, she has dirt stains on her white shirt. So Glenda directs her to her closet. She says, I've got a white shirt in there somewhere, pick out something. And we get to see this woman has a good amount of opulence. So we've got a lot of dresses. And then we see she's just got a mound of fucking jewelry laid out. So, Caddy does a little bit of princess stuff where she tries on earrings and takes a look at the necklaces and so on.
Meanwhile, I'm like, girl, get to work.
Well, I mean, this is all new experiences for her, right?
No, I know. I just think it's fun. It's a thing where I'm actually surprised that Glenda's not more on her ass.
Truly.
This,
Yeah. All right, so that is the end of the first part, and we move into part 2. You'd better watch out.
Yep.
Okay, so we're in the kitchen. We've got Gwyn reminding Glenda about the nature of his parliamentary responsibilities, because she's, again, trying to complain, I hate these dinners. It's so much expectation. Why do we have to do all this stuff? And he's like, it comes with the job, so suck it up, Buttercup. And then when Caddy comes back in, he apologizes to her about the gunshots. And this sounds like it would be great. And he says that he wants to be friends, except that he's totally checking her out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's ulterior motive painted all over this interaction.
Yeah. And the fun thing is, we mentioned that Caddy is good looking. She's definitely coded young and a little bit naive and innocent. And there is not a man in this movie who doesn't act like he wants to fuck her.
Oh, yeah. Every single man in this movie has eyes on Caddy, which, again, just makes the ending all the more satisfying.
It's true, yeah. And I think that's the other area where Guto comes off a little bit better, because he seems to kind of gently be flirting. Yeah, like it could actually be real, and we'll come to learn that actually what he really wants is to see if she can get him drugs. Because his real mistress is drugs.
Yeah. He does a lot of things with these shrooms where I was like, good lord.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The toes, right?
Oh, it's not a good thing.
No.
Okay, so yeah, Gwyn is saying all the right things, but his eyes are saying all the wrong things. And, Caddy does notice. Of course, she says nothing, but when she walks away, there's a sudden piercing frequency ringing in Gwyn's ears. And then the fun thing is that this only seems to affect him.
What do you make of this? Like, why is this his punishment?
I don't know. I was actually going to ask you if you felt that there was something specific about each of their individual kind of tortures. I think with him, it's like he either doesn't listen or he's a liar. So it's like anytime he lies or says something out of order, that's where she seems to hit him.
Okay, I honestly didn't really have an answer. So, but yours makes the most sense to me, honestly.
Yeah, because everybody else's is like a little bit more obvious, and his is the first one that we really see. Like, you can immediately connect it. He does something to her, even though she doesn't really react, but then he's hit with this almost immediately. So I was like, okay, interesting. Like, I really tried to clock it this rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so meanwhile, Caddy and Glenda are making dinner. They're having a good time. We start singing an old folk tale. Glenda says, oh, I haven't heard this since my mom used to sing it to me. But when Gwyn comes in, it just sours the mood immediately. And I love that we never really learn that the marriage between them is bad, but just the way she reacts to him. It's not just, oh, I don't like you, or I'm frustrated that we have to have this dinner and your stupid job. It's very much like, we just don't like each other very much.
Well, it's also because, she's the only one that didn't come from money. Because, I guess we don't know if Gwyn came from money or not, but the kids, certainly, got into this, so.
Yeah, if running for politics is anything like it is in Canada, and specifically the US, like, you typically do need to at least come from money or have a lot of financial backing. Yeah. And we will come to realize they do have financial backing. It's partially how they got here. But yeah, Gwyn gives off money, and Glenda feels more like, oh, she's fallen into the pit, and now she doesn't know how to be a real person anymore.
Exactly. But except for this moment when she's singing this like little folk song from her childhood. And this is the one moment of like true connection, I think, she gets with Caddy.
Yeah, because after this, it's all very performative because the dinner guests have arrived and we need to close this deal and all this other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the part where we get a bit more backstory about Guto. So we hear that he suffered a drug overdose, and this is why he's not really allowed to go back to the big city. So he's effectively stuck in this country estate. It's like fucking gorgeous. But he wants to be back in the bright lights, big city. So he complains to his father that it's not just him. Both sons have brought shame on the family, and Dad doesn't really accept this, and he ends up leaving. And this is where we see that the wound that Guto suffered from the axe blade doesn't appear to be healing very well. In fact, it seems to still be bleeding.
Oh God, yeah. Honestly, the moment that I find the most painful in this movie, I think it's coming up relatively soon, but like where he's up in his bedroom and he pulls his shoe off.
It's just filled with blood.
It just filled. He has to peel the sock off, and I was like, "Ooh, that hurts so bad."
Yeah, it's grody. I did want to highlight this moment though. So this is a fairly innocuous conversation. Like, it's really just helping us to understand Guto, why he maybe is rebelling against his parents. But he was outside, and his dad came into the room and asked, "Hey, can I borrow your lighter?" Essentially, I want to make sure that you're not doing anything drug related with it. And Guto was actually outside, and this is the part where he comes through the window. But I wanted to give a quick shout out to cinematographer Bjornstale Bratberg, because he shoots this house immaculately, as I said, inside very claustrophobic, outside very open, but so much of the movie is about transitioning between these kind of liminal environments, like crossing the boundary from the contemporary modern house into the open environment. And like a lot of the movie is inside, outside, inside, outside.
Right.
And I think that the cinematography and the way the film is shot really helps you to understand and get a feel for not just the environment, but like it really is a mood.
It's also a wonderful showcase for the Welsh countryside.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Kind of makes you want to visit, huh?
Not exactly, but yeah.
Well, as long as you don't do anything,
Yeah,
you should be fine.
Yeah, just don't drill into the ground. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Glenda is getting ready. She's doing her makeup. She's selecting earrings. And then she goes to deliver clothes to Gwyredd, but he's not in his room. And I love this moment of show don't tell, because we heard Gudo say both sons disappointed you. So we know there's something, like we already knew something was off with Gwyredd. But she sees that he's not in his room, and then she just bolts. Like, she is so quickly looking for Caddy. You're like, oh, why is she suddenly worried that Caddy might be in trouble? And it's because when you learn what Gwyredd has gotten in trouble for, she was like, go and check the new girl to make sure that he's not like fucking raping her.
I didn't even put that together once we get the reveal that he was a rapist later. That makes so much more sense. Yes, I love that.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Gwyn is getting another piercing earache, and we get this quick montage. So we get the oil, the worker, and then there's also new scenes of Caddy eating, I think, dirt from the ground.
Yeah, something, maybe.
I was like, what is going on with this girl?
Yeah, and it's all superimposed. Like, it's like a collage of shit.
Yeah. It's quite fast. It's like, okay, some of that's new, some of that's old, and then we're moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, so outside, this is where Gudo basically talks about how much better the city is, and he wishes that he could, go back, and doesn't she miss it? What does she do when she parties with her friends? Hint, hint, can you get me drugs?
Which she can. She can.
She can indeed, yeah. So she takes him by the hand. We go into the woods. So this is really the first time we've gone into the woods beyond the field, and she takes him to this really old dead tree. And she starts picking mushrooms out for him to collect. And we see that Gwyredd is actually watching them. And question for you.
Did you think he was masturbating?
Is he also masturbating?
I literally put, and ... masturbating?
Masturbating?
Like, I think he's masturbating?
I think he is. If we both clocked it, then I'm going to say we've got our answer.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I was like, maybe he's not is because it's his brother. But maybe he can just tune his brother out and just look at Caddy,
Yeah. I mean, I love this idea that just, there's somebody new in this environment, and it's a woman, and that's what I'm into, so I can't help myself. I mean, to be clear, this guy is touching himself at every opportunity.
Oh, all the time. He loves his body.
Mm-hmm.
That's your money saying it's time for a McDonald's run. Because with new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. Like, buy a 6-piece McNuggets and add a McChicken for just $1. Your money says let's go. Get more than you expect with new McValue. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
Okay, let's introduce a new character trace. So our first dinner guest, Eros, who is played by Rodri Mailer. I'm probably getting that name wrong, but he shows up and immediately drops the very expensive bottle of wine that he brought after criticizing Caddy for being inactive.
Okay, so this was something that was interesting because I feel like I read somewhere that they said the bottle exploded in his hands, not that he dropped it. But we don't see it happen because his hand is off frame when it happens. And
right, yeah. And then later he'll say, I guess I just didn't have a firm enough grip on it.
Yes, I guess. But it seems to be a result of him insulting Caddy's laziness.
Uh-huh. It's another one of this, you do something to her and she will hit you right back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's like, oh no, the wine, blah, blah, blah. And they take him inside, and Caddy stays outside, and she is looking at these glass shards on the ground like she has never seen glass before. Picks up a giant piece, considers it in the light of the sun, and then again, out of frame, just sticks it up the vagine.
Yep. I actually find this very darkly humorous. Not that what she does, but because the publicity still that accompanied this movie for all of its festival runs was the shot of her looking, like, holding this piece of glass up and considering it, like you said. And it's like, if you only knew what she did just moments after this.
Yeah, and I really do like the way that we frame this because we understand what she's doing because she kind of like bends a little bit out of frame and we can see her sort of wiggling and you're like, where is she putting that? And then we cut to a below the waist shot as she shimmies her dress back down into place. And you're like, she just put it where, she put it where I thought she was. Oh,
and okay. And it doesn't seem to hurt her either, which is really something of a red flag. But
yeah, because that will stay there for the rest of the film.
Oh, it's quite literally Chekhov's vagina glass.
You mean vagina dentata?
Yeah, well, yeah, vagina shardata.
I don't except
know.
it kind of sounds like shards,
Shard,
which I don't know.
I as soon as I said it, I got it.
The shartata, yeah. Makes me want a hot dog. Wait, what? Who said that? Okay. So, yes, we've got Glenda offering to clean Eros's Italian loafers because he is rich. He is the money. We need to make him happy. Also, take off your socks. Oh my God. Go to, can we get some new socks? Oh my God, not white. What are you? It's like just power, privilege. How do we emulate it?
Just rich people problems.
Yeah. So he is also hitting on Caddy when she delivers the canapes. He basically just looks straight down her top. And this is where Gwyn comes in. He's talking with pride about how he killed the rabbits for dinner. And she's like, well, you killed them and I cooked them. Like the animosity between Gwyn and Glenda just continues all the time.
I have this moment in my notes, but I misspelled rabbits and it just said, Gwyn laughs over murdering a family of rabbis.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
Dark
wait.
times.
I was like, that doesn't sound like something that was said in this movie.
No, I think that's a very different kind of film.
That's a zone of interest.
Oh, okay, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's take that down a notch.
Just a little bit, yes.
Speaking of taking things down a notch, Gudo walks in on his brother. I think he's applying cream to his chest, or he could just be feeling his own tits.
Little column A, little column B?
Yeah, I feel like we just keep saying that whenever we talk about Gwyredd, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's also because, it doesn't give us any hard answers. Well,
no.
But anyway.
I mean, he's hard when he's wearing those biking outfits.
Well, no, because Guto comes in and Gwyredd tells him, I saw you and Caddy in the forest, and just starts asking these really sexually explicit questions about it.
Yeah, did you touch her? Did she like it? You're just, and Goto's kind of like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
okay.
But he knows what Gwyredd has done in the past. Like, he knows he's a rapist, so...
Yeah, I like this. I mean, like is a strong word considering these two are differently despicable people. But, the reason that Goto came in is because, he's supposed to call his brother for like, hey, this guy is here, the money is here, we need to come out and entertain him. And Goto says, I guess we'll play along with this because we need the money. So what's driving Goto. And then Gwyredd is kind of like, yeah, whatever. Also, did you touch that girl? And you're just like, oh my God, boys. You have one-track minds.
Yeah.
And then we get this great moment of a visual body horror, which I'm going to say is kicking things off because we will get plenty more. But we get to watch as Eros pulls a long knotted strand of hair out of his mouth.
Yeah, this always grosses me out. I've seen this exact thing in like many movies, and I'm just like, I don't need that anymore in my life.
I love it because they always drag it out, quite literally, much longer than you think it's going to happen. So you're like, who amongst us has not gotten a hair in their food or in their mouth at some point? And you like pull it out, you're like, ew, gross. This is always, is it 5 seconds? Is it 10 seconds? Like, how fucking long can we pull this shit out?
And if you want to see a really good version of this, y'all should go watch The Ugly Stepsister.
Ooh, yes. I feel like we may have something to say about that soon.
I think we will too, Joe, but oops.
Oops, yeah. Okay, this is the end of section 2, so we move into section 3. There's a feast awaiting us.
Oh yeah, there sure is.
There sure is. Okay, so let's hear about Eros's development pitch because he is priming Gwyn on, hey, here's like a land map. Here's all the different areas that we could do just a bit more with. And Caddy is listening pretty attentively to all of this. I mean, the number of times that we just cut from a character doing something, which is maybe nefarious or maybe bad just because they're rich, and you just cut to a scene of Caddy looking at them.
I guess my question is, Caddy, or the goddess, didn't appear here like expecting to kill. Do you think that was always the plan to kill these people, or is it more like she's observing them, and the more she sees, the more she's like, oh, you fuckers are dead?
Oh, that is a really good question. I default assume that it was always in the works because, the goddess, as we will come to learn, had to take on a body. And then she just basically walked right here, got to work, and by the end of the night, these people are dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like maybe there was an opportunity for one of them to get away, but the fact that none of them do tells me maybe it was already predestination.
I guess I just think about, the moment when she's singing that song with Glinda, where it's like, okay, so is this her saying like, oh, you might be, I might spare you in this scenario,
Oh, maybe. Yeah. That would have been interesting to explore a little bit more.
Well, but unfortunately, like Glinda doesn't really have another moment like that in the film. No. She just gets worse and worse and worse.
No, indeed. So, okay. Eros is talking about all of these development sites. Caddy is listening. And then our next dinner guest arrives. So this is the neighbor. So we have Ayer, who was played by Lisa Palfrey, and she arrives solo. She was meant to bring her husband, but her husband has been delayed because a car went off the bridge and they're investigating.
Yep. And put that in your back pocket.
But again, I love that we're not lampshading it to this extreme measure, but we're not hitting anybody over the head saying like, that will come back. It's just kind of, it's a line.
I think there's a different version of this movie where the cold open is not the drill opening into the cave. It's the car going into the lake.
Oh, I could see that too.
Mm-hmm. And that's a less successful movie for me because it is like calling it out too much.
It's a lot more obvious. Like, hey, remember that thing? Yeah. It's going to come back.
Yeah, but this, we just hear about it as hearsay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as Caddy is listening to this, she does trail dirt down the hallway. So she just kind of runs her finger along.
It's like her snail trail, but for dirt.
Ew. What's wrong with you?
That's what the goddess does, man. She doesn't leave a snail. It's just a dirt trail.
This is true. I mean, she's very down to earth, this goddess.
I see what you did there.
Okay, so interestingly enough, Mayer does seem to recognize Caddy. So she says, oh yeah, that girl used to go to chapel. And this is when Eros kind of makes this glib remark like, oh, I guess you're not religious anymore. And you're just like, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, right? Like, back the fuck off, dude.
Truly. So Caddy is often lurking, as we suggested. She's observing. Sometimes she's kind of half hiding. So, they're gossiping about her because Mayer is a bit of a gossip. Like, oh, I recognize that girl, this other thing. Oh, what about your son? Didn't he used to be a doctor and now he's training for a triathlon? Like, So Caddy is actually in the kitchen kind of like looking at, I think it's the cooking rabbits, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
But she basically just vomits saliva into this dish. She's like, bleh.
So
bleh.
Gross. So gross.
Oh, that was your cue. You were supposed to barf with
me.
Bleh, bleh, bleh. But yeah, I kind of like that it doesn't look like she intended to do this, but when it happens and it gets all over the dish, she just goes, oh, well, that happened. Okay, moving along.
Just give it a nice little glaze.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the moment also where we do get to see Guido pull off his boot, and it is just blood everywhere.
And his solution is to eat more mushrooms.
Yeah, like I get it because it does seem like the parents have probably withheld aspirin or any kind of drug. They have probably completely taken them away from him because they don't trust him. But in this case, you're just like, oh, dude. It's not like I'm going to take one mushroom and trip. It's I'm going to grab a handful and cram them into my mouth.
But like, and again, we can blame it on the drugs or whatever. But it's like at that point when you see your foot looking like that, like it's turning necrotic.
Like, or you're going to bleed to death because it doesn't seem to be coagulating or anything. Yeah. Like maybe talk to somebody. I mean, that is one of the other things is no one ever talks to anybody else about what the fuck is going on. And I kind of loved it. They're all isolated, living their own private lives in the exact same space as the rest of their family. But like, had anyone said anything, could they have gotten out of this?
Well, Ayer does.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of, Mayer is getting a tour around the house because she has not actually seen it since they kind of like moved into it because they're spending their time here when they're not in the city playing Parliament House. So we end up in the meditation room, and Glenda is trying so hard to impress this neighbor who is like country bumpkin. She's a little less sophisticated.
Because we will learn, and I'll just jump ahead to this, but we will learn that the whole purpose of this dinner is to get Mare to give up some of her land so that arrows can go in and drill into it. And it's funny because Glinda is like, well, yeah, who wouldn't want this lifestyle? Like, why wouldn't you want this? And that's where she's leaning for. I'm like, oh, girl, you were going the whole wrong way about this scenario. But
yeah, she did not read this interaction properly. Because, she says, oh, look at this. Isn't it so gorgeous and luxurious and so on? And Mare just takes one look at this and says, it's like a cell.
Okay, but her first thing she says is, it's different. I don't know if I'm sure I've told you this before, but my husband always makes fun of whenever that, because he says whenever white people try ethnic food, they won't say, oh, I don't like it. They'll just say, oh, that's different.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all.
And that is very much what's going on here. It's like, I'm not going to say this is fucking ugly, but yeah, on first impression, it's different. It's not for me. And then it's, no, this feels like prison. Why would you want this? Like, you can tell she is not dazzled by this wealth. She is not entranced or enticed by it. And Glenda does not understand.
But, okay, what do you make of this red feather that falls on the ground?
Oh, I missed it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, basically before they walk out of this meditation room, there's a red feather that just falls from the ceiling, and Glinda looks at it and she looks perturbed. But then we never really reference it again. And I was like, whoa. What? It's a very red feather. And Mare, I don't think seems to notice it. Or if she does, she doesn't pay any mind to it. But I was like, I don't know what the significance of this is.
Oh, could it just be something that's kind of like natural in this environment that's supposed to be like very sterile and kind of
guess?
Like this is painted all black, folks. It's like there's showers and there's a bench and stuff, but it's almost like a submersion tank kind of vibe.
Maybe you're right, because there is moonlight or sunlight coming in, but I'm assuming it's not open.
No.
So yeah, maybe it's more like, how did this get in here?
Yeah. Like, why is the natural world creeping into my perfectly controlled contemporary world?
You know what? That's it. I'm going to say that's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll go with that. There, mystery solved.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so this is all too much for Caddy, so she needs to go out and quite literally touch some grass. So she lays down in the dirt, and this is one of the posters that I've seen for this film. She almost digs herself a dirt bed. And then it's hard if you're watching it during the day because it's pretty dimly lit, but you can actually see roots coming out of the ground and is circling her almost like an embrace.
Yeah, these are CGI vines, I'm assuming, but they are hidden pretty well because it's very dark. And honestly, watching this in my living room, I was like, okay, I can tell those are vines, but like you really can't see them very well.
No. Like I basically was like, let me just increase the brightness on my laptop about a dozen times. Oh, okay, yeah, I can see them. Okay.
Yep, there you go.
It's basically just like it's almost like she's recharging her battery in hindsight, right? Like she needs to go and reconnect with where she's from and feel, I guess just one with nature again. And then she can come back and execute her plan.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay, so that's the end of part 3. We move into part 4. She mustn't be awakened. This is where things start to pick up a little bit.
Well, and this is where it's a bit more exposition dump than the film has given us before, because as soon as we're talking about you can't, don't make the goddess, blah blah blah, it's like, okay, well, we figured this out.
And as people know, I love a dinner sequence because it's usually where shit comes out. So that's very much where we're at. Everybody's sitting down for the first course of the dinner, and Caddy is of course just standing there watching them like a creepy lurker. But this is where we hear Gwyn discussing that he thought that he had a heart attack, and Gwyrd is like, you had an ulcer. What are you talking about?
A peptic ulcer. But he's like, my dad would just love for everyone to think that he is actually going to die still because it gives him the attention.
Yeah. And speaking of attention, Gwyredd will not eat this meal, so he has his own special diet, and we see that it is basically just raw meat. Like red raw meat, and Guto throws a fit. He ends up getting kind of kicked out of the dinner, and this is where he starts to really escalate his drug use. It actually reminded me of Will Poulter and the unicorn shit in Death of a Unicorn, where it's like you start with one, and then we just keep getting progressively more and more and more.
I was just like, make a tea? I thought he was going to make a tea because he was putting it in water, and I was like, oh, no, he's doing the heroin thing where you put it on a spoon.
Yeah, and of course, he's such a good addict that he knows not to put it in a spot where anyone will think to look. So yeah, he sticks the needle between his toes.
And it looks like this needle goes deep in his toes, too. Right. I was like, oh, God, no.
It's a whole lot of no.
Oh, and you have a thing for needles, don't you?
I do. This one was not too bad.
Yeah, because it's not close up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I love the framing of this. So basically, we have lost Guto, and Gwyredd is not really paying attention because he's eating his raw meat. So we set the camera up for a stationary shot behind Mayor as we get this pitch. So basically everybody, like all of the remaining adults, go after her to be like, you know, we could really help you financially. Like, we know you're in a bit of a tough spot. You and your husband work this farm. It's not producing very much. Hey, you know, the reason we were able to build this house is because we got so much money. I love that we're using the words responsible and sustainable, because those are environmental words, right?
100%.
Except that we're talking about drilling in and raping the fucking land.
Yes, raping the land. That is the perfect phrase.
Yeah. So we should note that the dialogue then does go out because Caddy is upset and Gwyredd is the one who suffers this time. So we essentially choke him on a giant strand of hair, and she practically digs an entire forearm into his mouth, pulling it out.
Okay, that's interesting. So I didn't think we were repeating the hair thing. I thought she was pulling out a long strand of meat.
Oh, you know what? It's more likely that, because that's what he was eating, right?
But yeah, yes, it was. But he was eating cubes of meat, so it's like, how does he get a whole strand? But it's literally like what we see her pull out of his mouth. It's like a split second before it cuts to the aftermath.
Right. Maybe it's the equivalent of, have you ever had a stick of celery and you don't kind of saw it through enough? So when you go to like bite it or swallow, you realize, oh, fuck, that's still connected.
Oh, yeah. Or like a piece of pasta.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's just that where he was eating pieces of meat, but then he didn't chew them enough, and then it's just like one long string of...
It formed like a rat king of raw meat.
Oh my God, yeah. Ew.
I know.
Okay, so we have saved Gwyredd from choking on said meat, and this means that we can begin to prepare a bit of a takeaway dish for Guto. So Glenda has this fish dish that she's going to bring to her son because she knows he'll get hungry. Aw, caring mom.
Aww.
But once again... what the fuck? There's this trail of dirt in the kitchen. So she's so surprised by it that she drops the whole tray.
Oh, okay. See, I thought she dropped it because it was too hot, and then she noticed the dirt thing. Not important. Like it's like whatever. But I was just relating because I was like, I totally like just picked up a hot pan, forgetting that it was hot.
I mean, I guess it could be a hot pan.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, but yeah, big. There's that snail trail following through the house.
God, please stop. So this is where Caddy discovers that Guto, here we go, everybody. This is where we really start to get into it. So Caddy goes in to check on Guto, and we just see blood all over the sheets of his bed. He is sitting on the floor, leaning back against it, and he pulls up his pant leg, and as you said, necrotic flesh. There are maggots all over this red, stumpy mess.
Okay, but it looked almost like a powdery red, so I was like, is the fungus also growing off of his leg?
Maybe. Yeah, it is vibrant. It is a rich look.
Yeah, I thought that's why she licked it too. It wasn't just to get the maggots, which, by the way, though, the shot of the maggot falling out of her mouth, I was like,
oh, yeah. It is so good. I totally forgot about this moment. And I do think if you are squeamish with body horror, this is probably the one that will put you over the top.
Yeah, honestly, this is the hardest thing for me to watch in this movie. And it's very quick, but it is unpleasant.
Yeah, and even just this idea, like, she doesn't even brace her hands anywhere. She just kind of like bobbing for apple style goes in face first, mouthful of maggots. Just like, cool, let me clean these off for you. I'll take care of it.
And see, so is she eating the maggots? Is she trying to get the fungus that's growing off his legs? Or is it just a scab? I don't know.
She's just, trying to collect a couple of living beings.
Yeah, she's living that god life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gwyn tries to call Caddy back so that he can get her to sing again because he wants to compliment her because he wants to fuck her. And she's already past that. So she just hits him with another high-pitched frequency that practically takes him out. And then she's immediately confronted by Gwyredd, who gets her in the hall so that we can start making out. And she's like, all right, you want to do this? I'm going to take you into the forest and have my way with you.
And if you forgot that she still has a shard of glass up her vagina, you'll find out soon.
Indeed, yeah. So we just see her take him away, and then we go back inside, and we see that Glenda is educating Mayor about Chekhov's abstract painting. I say Chekhov as if it's a huge important thing. It's not. It's just more, she's trying to lord the wealth over her again. So she says, we paid $10,000 for this painting, and everybody comes in and they want to speculate about how it means hope or they see something in it. And she's like, this is actually just a geographical representation of the land we own.
Which I was like, but bitch, if someone looks at that and sees love in it, then let them see love in it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like it because in some ways it betrays all of her rich ambition, because if you were truly old money, like kind of blue-blooded, you would say, oh yeah, art is about symbolism. It doesn't have to mean anything. I paid an extravagant amount of money for it, and who fucking cares because I'm rich as fuck. And instead, she's so proud of how people misinterpret what is a very practical, very basic, oh, this is my symbol of land ownership. And you're just like, girl, you're betraying your roots. Like, you're looking at this all as, oh, this is the farm. These are the buildings I own.
Yeah.
Other people are like, no, it's big, it's important, it's bold. And she's like, oh, I guess I'm just a farmer at heart still.
Well, and then she's like, oh yeah, we want to drill this area called the Rise. And Mayor's demeanor,
oh my God,
immediately changes. Like, you're not supposed to do that because that's where she's resting.
Yes.
And it's like,
and you can practically hear the capitalization of it.
Of the she, yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. So this is really where the movie starts to take that, okay, we've been noticing weird things, and now it turns it into folk horror, eco horror, because we've been seeing all this Mother Nature kind of stuff creeping into the house, but now it's like, oh, we don't go in the Stephen King area. Tabitha! Don't go up on the rise.
What do we think of the feast?
And it's funny, right? Because Glenda counters by saying, oh, don't be superstitious. We're not like that. We're rich people. You could be rich people. And Mayor's like, I gotta go. I'm out of here.
Okay, but she does end with like a really good like dig where she's like, your mother would be ashamed if she saw the person you become.
Oh my God. The sick fucking burn.
Yeah, I love
this.
it so much.
Because Glenda has talked a big game about how, like, I came from nothing. I'm now this really important person. And, she misses her mom. She talked about the song. You're like, oh, okay, so clearly your mom and your upbringing, like what you have managed to do with your life is very important. So for Mayor to just take the wind out of her sails like this, it's actually pretty fucking great. Okay, so Mayor is like, we didn't even get to the main course. That's how early this dinner is over. Mayor has pieced the fuck out. I like that we stay on Glenda and we hear Gwyn as well as the other guy trying to convince her to stay, but we don't see it. And then we just hear the piercing again. We know that Gwyn's been taken out.
Yeah, I mean, Gwyn is this. I mean, he's not even dead. Yeah, it'll be a bit before he actually gets killed, but like he's out for the count for this movie by this point.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so we are out in the woods, and Guto warns Caddy. So he's basically just kind of lying in the woods. We don't know how he got out there, but he is more or less down for the count at this point. But he warns Caddy because she's out there with Gwyredd because they were making out in the hall. She took him outside, and he says Gwyredd raped female patients at the hospital. Like,
and that's why he doesn't work there.
That's why, not because he's training for a fucking triathlon, everybody. I mean, he may be doing that now, but I really like this reveal. Like, this is terrible, but it's such a nice, controlled payoff. Like, we had to be so patient to get to this moment, and all of a sudden we're like, oh shit, Caddy is in trouble because this guy has got her out here alone in the woods, and Gudo is not going to be helpful.
No, and I mean, you know, we got the moment of body horror earlier with his leg, but then, yeah, Caddy is like telling Guerra, like, you have to cut off his leg, otherwise he's going to die. And like, here you go, here's the axe,
Here's the axe. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Perfection, where it's like, something needs to happen right now. Here's a weapon. You could do it.
100%. And then Guerid, this doesn't really seem to phase Guerid because he is all about fucking Caddy after this.
Oh, so I just have to chop off my brother's leg and then we can bone? Sure. Blood on your face? Sure. Fucking you up against a tree. It's causing me pain that I'm actually crying out, but I'm still aggressively fucking you. And I'm not going to lie, I could have done with like some penile trauma. Like, I would have loved to have seen just a mangled fucking dick or something.
Yeah, and here's the thing though. I actually, because obviously if you're fucking something and you feel glass against the head of your dick,
you're gonna stop.
You're stopping. But I feel like she puts him in a trance the same way she puts Glinda in a trance.
Yes. Yeah, no, 100%. And the movie, again, is not showy. So it's not, you know, we're getting some kind of sound effect. We're not seeing a cloud around his head.
There's
or
no
cross eyes or anything.
Eyes,
There's nothing like that. So you just know what's going on. But I love this image of him. You know, he is in pain and he will not stop fucking her.
No. Again, like I don't particularly remember any noticeable Foley work here, and I could have used maybe for more squelches. But you know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the end of part 4. So we move into part 5, which is just let me open the throat up a little bit as we go. Sleep in peace, dear child. Sleep quietly on your mother's breast. That's what part 5 is called.
Yeah. And again, these last 2 chapters are very short because this is where the Grand Guignol like kind of takes place.
Truly that. Yes, we are into it. Yeah, it almost feels Shakespearean in parts, right?
Yes.
Which one am I thinking of? It's Anthony Hopkins and Jessica Lange and...
Is it Titus?
It is Titus.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where he makes her eat her own kids.
I've never seen it, but now I want to.
You would really like it. You know what? We could cover it. I would cover
Titus.
that movie.
That's the one where he has like the blue face mask, right?
It is. Yeah, that's the very striking cover. And you know what? It's actually not far off from where we're about to go with this. So,
well, there you go.
Okay, so Glenda checks on her husband. He's out for the count. He's kind of unconscious from the piercing sound effects. And then she sees Eros trying to smoke, so she sends him outside. She sees her mother's reflection in the glass. And I like this because it's filmed in such a way that you think it's her initially, and then you think it's some kind of specter. And then she goes outside and she sees Mayor coming back up the drive. And you're like, what did I actually see?
But she says mama.
She says mama. So she's convinced that it's her mother, and that brings her out. And then Mayor tells her, yeah, so that car that went off the bridge, that was Caddy's car. And that means, and I love that it's not like, oh my God, who's in my house right now? It's very much.
She says they said if she returned, she'd need a body to live in. So
she.
Yes. I love that Glinda, too, doesn't even question this. It's more like oh shit.
Oh shit. I done fucked up. Yeah. So she rushes back to the house, and meanwhile, as she is doing this, we're watching Caddy clean off one of these skewers that we had been preparing for the dinner.
The kebabs, yeah.
Yeah, and Gwyn awakens, and we get this great shot of Caddy walking in slow motion. There's a kind of operatic score, and she just goes into the meditation room where Gwyn is lying half conscious under the water, and we just see her close the door.
Oh boy. And
Pretty good.
again, you think, okay, well that's the end of it. She's going to kill him, but we'll come back to that
We'll
later.
come back to it, yeah. First, we need to check back in with Eros, who's in the kitchen, and he has just started to eat all the food. So he is ravenously consuming the contents of this plate. Glenda is freaked out, so she has grabbed a knife, and she's searching the house. And this is where we cut back. So Caddy is singing again to Gwyn as he requested. So she's giving him what he wanted. We don't see it, do we? Like, we see the aftermath.
Well,
like, she kind of pulls away and we can see that the skewer has been in. Is it in his ear or is it just in his head?
So I thought he pulled the skewer to his ear and placed it there, and then like she pressed it further. But again, this is like one of those trance things where I was like, but it's like also like, oh, this is the only thing that's helping me right now is like poking my ear. But yeah, it's not particularly like drawn out or gory, but it's like you know what's happening. And oh yeah, she pushes it in further, and that's what kills him. So he grabs it and starts pressing it, and then she's like, "Whoop, there you go."
Sure, let me help you out with that. Yeah. So okay, I mean, we don't really see Gudo go down, but like we will see his body, and he's not really moving. So technically, we are down 2 of the 4 house members.
Well, because so Gwerid like comes back carrying Gudo, and supposedly Gudo is already dead by this point. Like this is his body.
Do you wish that we had have seen, more of his body had been consumed by this kind of necrotic flesh or something like that? These are the moments where I think the film is almost a little too tasteful. I wanted it to go grodier.
Yeah, I wanted it to substance out.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. And that's where I'm saying, where I feel more confident that the payoff in this final 10 minutes is worth it, but that doesn't mean I don't think it could have gone harder.
Yes, I would agree with that. So speaking of people who are in a trance, even though Glenda knows that Caddy is not Caddy, and she had this knife, she's searching the house, she goes into the bedroom and she sees a dress has been laid out for her. And from this moment on, she's out of it. Like, she changes into this dress. She goes and she sees, Gwerid carrying his brother Gudo. She briefly yells at them, like, I told you not to go up on the rise. But it's like, okay, well, that is here and done.
Well, because the dress, too, that she's wearing, it's like this kind of floral, or maybe it's a fruit dress or something, but like it's something that Caddy was looking at earlier in the film.
Yeah, so it's like you put on something that I picked out for you. Like, I'm going to change your look. You're now becoming subservient to me. Yeah. And then we wrap up this part with some delicious, delicious leg cutting. So we see that Glenda is using said knife to now shave off very thin strips of necrotic leg meat. And she just puts this pile of meat in front of Eros, and he goes to town. It's really good.
This is really good, really gross.
Okay, so that's the end of part 5.
Yep.
Now we're
almost done.
We're almost done. So part 6, after you've taken everything, what will be left? This is interesting. It's almost like some time has passed. Like there's a not quite smash cut, but we come out of a cut to black, and it's Eros waking up to find Glenda still fully in a trance, jamming the barrel of this gun into his mouth. And I will say, the Foley work on his teeth cracking is really good.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure we don't have the budget for this, but would have taken like a head explosion from this shotgun. We only get to hear it and see the aftermath, kind of. Yeah. But still, I mean, he is filleting this gun.
Truly, yes. It is like deep throat territory, and then we hear her effectively shoot him. And then we are down at ground level, so we see his body, and we slowly do a pan over to the left, and then we come back up as we watch Glenda slit her own throat. And this is all happening as Caddy is out in the yard, just, casually building a giant funeral pyre.
Yeah, I love that she's just like, casually is a great way to put it, but like just like tossing these wooden blocks on these bodies.
Yeah, like throwing a little gasoline on them, bringing some bodies over with the wheelbarrow. So we go back inside so that we can collect Glenda's body. We do get some fiery kind of montages here. So We've got flashes of the violence and some of the other things. So it's very much, this is the penalty that you will all pay for your indiscretions over the course of the evening, but also before that. And then we just, we have ourselves a nice little fire. And then as we kind of come out of this operatic, fiery montage, we fade into the blue light of day. There's the green grass. Everything looks very calm and serene. And we see Caddy completely covered in blood. And she is just walking down to the oil rig in the field. So this brings it full circle back to that opening image with the worker. And I love that she looks at the camera. It's almost a fourth wall breaking moment.
Yeah.
And there's no reaction. There's no dialogue. It's just like basically incriminating us, the audience, and challenging us to say, do better.
Yeah. I was going to say don't do this, but yes, do better. Do better is the best way to put that.
And then we just go into credits. It's like, it's interesting because I feel like in lesser hands, I would leave this movie and say, it's a capital M message movie. It's so heavy-handed. Yeah. Like, it's so obvious. That's the only thing the film is doing. It's just saying, don't fucking corrupt and rape the environment or else you will get yours. And yet, the message of this movie doesn't bother me at all.
No, I don't think so. It's weird. Like I was going to say, it doesn't feel preachy, but it is.
It is preachy.
Yeah, it
but
is.
I think in the right way.
I was like, well, is it because I agree with it? I don't know. Maybe that's the case. But either way, yeah, I don't feel talked down to by this movie.
No, and if anything, it feels kind of earned. Like, these aren't the most despicable characters I've ever seen on screen, but they are clearly misguided, and they are clearly not paying attention to their surroundings, even though it's so integral to everything that's happening in the film. It's like where they're at, the environments they're moving between, be it the house or the field or the woods, they're just so unaware of it because they're thinking about money or sex or drugs. And it's like Mother Nature is quite literally piercing your eardrums, infecting your skin, doing all these things to try to warn you, and you don't listen, so she just takes you out.
Yep. And that's the
movie.
No, again, I like this a lot. It's not a film that I really want to revisit a lot because it is a very slow burn. But I do think, again, as I said at the top, this plays better on a rewatch once you know what's going down.
Yeah, I agree. It's been 4 years, and that felt like a good amount of time to have gone in between screenings because I had forgotten a couple of different things, and I was just like, yeah, you know what? I enjoy this movie. And I think a good double bill also from the pandemic that I think we both watched at a virtual film festival is Ben Wheatley's In the Earth. I would argue that film is definitely more surreal. I don't think you liked it as much as me, but I think that's another one that if we watched it a second time, it would probably play better.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
It's different.
Yeah. But it's one of those things too where it was like before the Last of Us TV show came out, and there's definitely some Last of Us inspiration in that movie with some of the creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think I remember my husband really liked it though.
Okay.
So
cool.
Anyway, yeah, that is The Feast, everybody.
That is The Feast, and that is the end of April, Trace.
It's the end of April. Fuck, yeah, this is April 30th, so we have a new Patreon schedule tomorrow. But before we get there, and before we announce what we're covering next week, some quick housekeeping. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Blue Sky and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our new Horror Queers Discord. Link in the show notes, by the way. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want even more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. If you subscribe today, you will get 380 hours of Patreon content. I know, including this month's new episodes on Hannibal Season 2, Episodes 3 and 4, White Lotus Season 3, Drop, Sinners, a brand new audio commentary on the Amityville Horror remake for its 20th anniversary, and now you can subscribe to our brand new Patreon tier, the Requel tier, where we're doing episode-by-episode recaps of Season 2 of The Last of Us.
Yes, it's good times, folks.
Good times. Also having a lot of fun covering the show with you because I am just all giddy.
You are geeking out, and I'm loving it.
It's really fun. But okay, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's actually pretty good that you mentioned Titus, an Anthony Hopkins film, because what are we covering next week?
Yeah, it's the same actor, but also we're keeping a cannibalistic theme, but we're headed to Italy this time, Trace. We're going to talk about a Ridley Scott joint known as Hannibal.
This is going to be interesting.
Messy. Oh, she's a messy bitch. I'm actually really excited to revisit this because we're also talking about the Hannibal TV show. It'd be better if we were already into season 3.
Yeah.
But I'm going to really enjoy comparing and contrasting Mads and Anthony's interpretations.
Yes. I will say, I mean, I've seen this movie a couple times, and it's a thing where Have you read the book?
I have read the book.
I really like the book ending.
Oh,
I get why
okay.
people do not. I totally get it. It's one of those things it was such a big swing that I was like, you know what?
Me
sure,
too.
Why not?
I gotta admire it.
Yeah. I do think the ending in the film is a bit of a whimper. It's kind of weak sauce, but
I agree, although I will say I like the image of Ray Liotta looking around as we just kind of scoop into his brain.
Oh, that's not the weak sauce part. That's the good part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I enjoy watching Hannibal, but yeah, it's no Silence of the Lambs.
No. Oh God, no. Yeah.
No. But all right, everyone. Well, until next week, we can cross out the feast.
Indeed, and cross out horror queers.